Welcome back, everyone, to Drop Frames. Going to the second half here of the show. Let's talk about Hades. This game's really fucking good. If you haven't played it, I don't know. I guess I'm glad I waited till 1.0. That's the reason everyone's been playing it this past week is that it launched on 1.0, and it's really fucking good. Before we jump into it, I know me and Co have played it. Zeke, have you touched Hades at all? Have you played this game?
No, but my lady cannot get a fucking enough of this game.
It's
She talks
fantastic.
about it all the time. She loves it. She's not even a big roguelike. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
She's not a big fan of that genre per se, but she loves this game.
It's good. I've had a couple of friends, Zeke, tell me that it's Slay the Spire esque in terms of its addiction. So maybe stay away.
If she would have said that,
yeah, we'll talk. Let's get into it. We're watching some of Code play here.
First of all, it's not turn based, right?
No, it's
Okay,
action based.
okay.
You're about to see some action.
Okay.
Well, okay. See, I haven't seen this. Okay, so here's the thing about Hades. Co, how many hours have you put in?
Ooh, 20-ish. Maybe?
Okay, you've put in more than me. I'm at 9.6 according to Steam, which I don't. That's a weird term. In your,
I beat it today, but it's only like the first step of beating it.
I
So
have
there's
not.
like a lot more.
Yeah, any
Got the
roguelite
credit.
is like
Got to
that,
the
right?
credit, I'll say.
Kind of. Here's the reason why Hades is special, Zeke. I know people that have put 40 plus hours in this game. Some even say 100 plus hours, and they haven't seen a single repeat of dialogue. And they're still finding new things. Apparently, they have like 14,000 lines recorded for this game.
So wait a minute, hold on. You said dialogue as if story is important in this game.
It is. So
Story's not super important in a lot of roguelites.
This one's special.
Okay.
This game's crazy, man. I think one of the things, the way this game was pitched to me is that dying, it makes dying fun. And the reason it makes dying fun is because when you die, not only do you get to start all over again in terms of like build and stuff, but there are story elements that happen. You get to go back and do new upgrades. You get just rewarded essentially for dying in terms of just who you can talk to. And you know, I'm only 10 hours in the game, which is barely scratching the surface, I think. So Co might be better at talking about this. But it is the first roguelike where like when I die, I'm not upset. I'm more like, oh, I wonder what's going to be here in the starting area now. Like, am I going to get anything new? I can turn in X thing that I've collected. I can also maybe go unlock this thing and try that out. And that's been my experience for 10 hours now. And I've only used one weapon. I think there's 6 in the game or something like that. And that's in 10 hours of playing. I'm not bored of using it yet. I'm quite frankly, like, I will maybe only use that weapon for the foreseeable future. Even though chat yells at me for wanting to try other weapons. But yeah, it's a remarkable game. It's Supergiant Games who made Bastion. That narrator is back, so he's phenomenal. The entire voice talent list is just I haven't heard someone where I'm just like that sounded pretty bad. Like they're all just through the roof. 10 out of 10, phenomenal. The music, amazing. Just like it's always been in the Supergiant games. And then for me, I think the biggest thing or the thing that I'm so much interested in or so interested in more than anything is the art. Anytime someone new shows up or a new character is introduced, I just sit there and like marvel at the art in the game because it's fucking phenomenal. It is so goddamn good. And you can see that they just put that everywhere. Like it stands true in the UI. It stands true in the different characters that you meet. It stands true in these fucking items. Everything just looks badass. It looks really cool. I'm super into the game, and definitely want to put a lot more time into it, whether on stream or off. But yeah, Co, I'm interested in your thoughts in it as well.
I've been absolutely loving it. I played early access back in the day, and it was a fraction of what it is now. It is more fleshed out. It is more complete. It has huge amount more elements. Like it's an absolutely phenomenal game, especially for the price, I might add. I love the way that it tells its story. I've really been enjoying the huge amount of build variety. Every run feels different, even if you use the same weapons. It highly encourages you to mix and match and go around. And there not only are there different weapons, but there's different styles for those weapons. Like it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. The dialogue and stuff is incredible. Like there's so much nuance to what the people say to you. They have different lines if you've seen a different god before them. They have different lines depending on where you are. They have different lines depending on what weapon you're using. They have different lines depending on what trinket you have. They have different lines depending on how far you've gone through the story. They have like it just goes more and more and more and more. And it really feels like you're actually having a conversation with these characters instead of just getting the same line over and over. Like, oh, you found my boon, pick a gift. Like some generic like video game crap. Like every time you see them, they have something new and interesting to say, it
Yeah.
seems.
Yeah.
Which is just, and like you said, all the voice acting is good. So it just adds to it so much more. Not only that, but I really kind of like the way that they did the story. The story is not, it not only makes sense in the game world, how all the game mechanics work, but it actually really adds to it. It doesn't feel like it's really tacked on. Like they actually did it in a way where it's kind of like I was pretty damn invested as I got towards the end of it. Kind of like where we go with this? What's going to happen? And it was very very cool. I love the journey, and yeah, it's great. It's a really top notch, excellent roguelite.
Quick question as far as because you deal with is it just the Greek pantheon or
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Greek. Zeus
Yeah,
and
it's a
okay.
Mhm.
The basis of the story, Zeke, which is not spoiler. This is the first second of the game. You are the son of Hades, and you are trying to escape hell.
Okay. Do they stay like true to like the spirit of the Greek? Like Zeus is a fucking bastard in all the stories. He's like a terrible, like womanizing absentee father kind of a thing. He's like power mad and that kind of shit. Do they have that like those kind of elements in it, or is it kind of like more friendly?
It's more like a visual novel take
It's
on.
it's
Okay.
more neutral.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
more
okay.
neutral. Like Hades is still the lord of the underworld, and he's gruff and brush and stuff. But the characters have like and the Greek gods. You're trying to break out of the underworld.
Yeah.
The Greek gods are helping you do it. So even if they do have the negative qualities you're talking about, like they're kind of friendly to you because they're giving you their boons. They're helping you get out of the underworld. So not saying they aren't that way, or maybe there's going to be another Hades down the road, or something like that, where we get to learn more about those characters from a different perspective. But it's the kind of thing where because they're trying to help you, they're generally like friendly, upbeat. They comment about each other. They each have their own very distinct personalities and how they like approach your situation, how they help you out, which also kind of shows too with the different types of boons they give you. Like Dionysus, like is the god of partying and wine and stuff, and like he gives you buffs that make the enemy drunk and hungover and things like that. And like the huntress Artemis, gives you like crit and stuff like that. So they kind of like fit into their different categories, but they're all there to kind of progress you through the game and help your character out.
Okay. It's just the people in chat are saying it's more like the Disney Hercules ish kind of approach to it.
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's kind of a good way to say it.
Yeah. I guess to get into like how the game functions, Zeke, in terms of like the second to second. So it is story based, but so you start off, you escape from hell, you walk into like your first room, which is usually just a single door. Every time you walk into a room, you're presented with these little icons. These change. The left one is a shop, the right one is a coin. That means that when you complete this next room, you're going to get coins as your reward. That can also pop up and say like you're going to get a boon from one of the gods, which is not always set in stone. It's 3 random boons out of I don't know how many there are. It's a shit ton essentially that are specific to your weapon. And what your
other boons you've gotten from that person.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
a lot of depth.
And so that's kind of how you progress is you go room to room, get different upgrades, whether it's just a flat out weapon upgrade, a boon, there's 3 or 4 different currencies that you can also get, all of that stuff. And it changes, like Ko was talking about how the builds are wildly different. And it's also up to like RNG. It's not like you don't go in thinking like, all right, I'm going to go this build. You go in thinking like, all right, I hope I get this thing. Let's see what the game throws at me. There are ways to like make it so you get a better chance of getting a specific god to give you a specific boon. But that's much later on in the game. Well, not really much later. It's there. There's just different ways, I guess, is what I should say. So essentially, it's just
Is this
RNG
the
of
weapon
like
that you've been using only? By the
I've
way,
only been using shield. Yeah, and it's because here's the reason why I'm only using shield. This is a
Well, hold on, real quick, with the shield and your character model and color scheme, you look like fucking Rygar, like from back in the day.
Little
like
bit.
that game.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, the reason that I've only used shield co is because chat gassed me up when I got to the final boss on run 4 before I even like knew what was in the game. And so everyone was like, damn, you beat this one, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, I'm going to stick with shield. And now I've only gotten to the 4th. I've never beaten the 4th boss. And when I say the 4th boss,
Hades?
yeah, I've never beaten him, but I've gotten to him every run since the 4th run in the game. I've never lost to like the other 3 bosses or anything. But at the same time, I don't use cast. I've never used cast. I don't even like ever think about it. So I'm pretty limited in my scope of actually using my tools in the actual game. I only
cast?
use, so let's talk about the mechanics. There's attack, which is X, which is just like you're going to attack with your weapon or whatever. There's
So this
special.
game works really well with controller then?
I use controller. I know a ton of people that play on PC, mouse and keyboard, and it works fine. They're super into it. But yeah, so X is attack. Y is special, which is usually, depending on your weapon, it's like a ranged attack. Essentially, it's a different attack. There's cast, which is your B on controller. And that's, I don't know, how would you describe that, Co, as someone who has actually used it? What would you describe cast as?
Cast is basically a charge-based thing where you have these gems, and you start with a limited amount of them, and you can get more by getting like passives and upgrades throughout the game. And basically, it's like a spell. So the best way to think about it is it's a spell. So you can have like there's like a magic system. You can have entire magic builds based around like buffing up your cast. And whenever you use the spell, depending on every god has kind of their own specific cast that you can get through a boon. So like Poseidon's cast like knocks back and does extra damage. Athena's cast, when it throws it out, reflects every bullet that it hits. Dionysus throws a giant keg, and wherever it hits, everyone gets crazy inside of it and takes a lot of damage. So it basically, and not only that, but then there's tons of side abilities you can get to like alter and change how that functions. But what's kind of cool about it and unique to this system is whenever you use a spell, it generally uses the gem. And if you throw a spell at an enemy, then the gem gets lodged in them. If you throw the spell at the ground, then the gem will sit there on the ground and you have to go get it. And depending on how you utilize that, like sometimes there'll be spells where if the gem is on the ground, it'll like radiate damage around it. There's passes you can get to where if you have a gem lodged in somebody, you do more damage to them. So there's like all these little side systems that play in to make it really an interesting kind of system. And JP, you need to learn how to use the key system. It's really, really important.
Dude, I set myself up for failure because, like I said, chat gassed me up. It's like, damn, you got to the boss on the 4th. It's like, goddamn right I did. And then I keep playing. It's like, I'm not going to change anything about my way of playing this game because I'm already good at it. But the entire time I'm like, I should probably press B here, maybe. I should probably use the full suite of actual things in the game.
And there's some really powerful spells you can get later on.
Chat tells me every time I don't choose them, Co. Everyone's like, what are you doing, man? You just passed up the most OP thing. Yeah.
That's actually one thing that I will say about this game. This game really rewards people that test and experiment, like especially with the different weapons. Like there are some incredibly powerful synergies that you can find in this game between specific weapons, specific weapon types. Generally, I'll pick like one style. I'll pick a weapon, and then I'll let the first few rooms kind of decide like what my style is going to be. So like I'm going to do gauntlets with attack, or I'm going to do spear with special, or I'm going to do spear with charge up. And then you just kind of like spend the rest of the build refining that kind of one thing you're doing.
Yeah.
And by the end of the game, like I'm on a 6 streak right now. So I've escaped 6 times in a row.
Nice.
And it's only because every one of those builds is like just taking one aspect of the character and fine tuning it down to the point where it just gets absolutely broken ridiculous. Like you can make crazy builds in this game. Kind of just by refining down one element. It's like pure little part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you go into some of the elements like I know like a poison build or a heavy hit build or a tank build or something like that. Like, can you go into that a little bit?
You can. There's different passives you can get, and they can actually flip later in the game, so you can kind of make a style of game. It is important to mention though that the game is mostly RNG because not only is it RNG based on what you kind of get throughout the world, but it's also RNG like in what order you're going to get it. So sometimes, like for instance, I did a gun build where I basically got all the wrong stuff at the beginning. I died to like the second boss twice. I was just doing terrible, and then all of a sudden I got like 3 things in a row that completely turned that build around. I ended up beating Hades with it. And then I got another thing that like refilled all my death charges. So all the reses came back. So it's like you can, most of it is RNG. I'd say it's like 60 to 70% like RNG, but you can absolutely go in, like JP was talking about earlier with the doors and how you can kind of pick which way you go. If you want to tank your build, well, you just keep picking the health power ups. You want to tank your build when you start getting like choices from gods, you pick the damage resistance, you pick there's even a life steal element, like there's all sorts of ways that you can kind of via the RNG make your build kind of how you want it to. And once you get a first couple things and you start kind of thinking about what you want your character to do after the first world or so, like you can just kind of just pick the stuff that kind of complements that.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I'm not spoiling.
So there's like discovery.
It's one of those things where it's a spoiler. If you know it's a spoiler, if not, it doesn't matter. Talking about it makes it more of a spoiler. Go ahead.
So there's a system of discovering. I mean, I always go back to like the gold standard of these kind of games is Binding of Isaac for me. So there's the amount of discoveries of synergies in that game. Is there the like in this game where you're like, oh, I had no idea that this would work with this so well?
Here's what
Absolutely.
I'll say.
Usually.
Okay.
This for me is the new Binding of Isaac. This
really?
This
Wow.
does
Okay.
everything
This
better
for
than
me is
Binding of Isaac.
better than Binding of Isaac.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
I've gotten asked that a couple times during this. Is this game better than Binding of Isaac? And my answer is absolutely. Yes, I like this game significantly more than Binding of Isaac. And I had a ton of hours in that game.
Yeah.
I cleared it multiple times. Like this game feels just like JP said, like an evolution of that style of game. Like just from the quality, from the story and the way that it's told, like the huge amounts of synergy. Yeah. It's definitely a step forward, big time.
Zeke, it also, we were speaking to like how the randomness or RNG plays a factor. Since I typically only play one weapon and I've gotten to, like, I've seen the same bosses almost every single run. Yesterday I walked into what I thought was going to be a normal boss. And then it was like, the character goes like, this is weird. And it was an entirely new boss fight that they like work into the story. And then the entire rest of that run was like, this is slightly different than last time. And it was like an entirely different form of that boss. And that was like 10 hours in. So it was right when I got like used to fighting that boss every single time that they put in entirely different mechanics. One of which I was kind of like, fuck, this might be really hard because I've cheesed this boss a certain way. But the other time it's like, oh, cool, it's more shit to learn, right? Like it's new stuff. 10 hours in, and I've been told that changes, 40 hours in, where people are seeing. I had someone join the chat yesterday, was put 100 hours into the game. They're like, I've never seen that mob before in all of my runs. I've never seen that one particular mob. And I was like, oh, I've gotten that mob 3 times in a row or something like that. So it's just that type of stuff, which is cool.
Oh, and also
save of course Hades. Did you have something to say on what JP was talking about?
A little bit. And I'm gonna say slight spoiler. It's just a mechanic though. It's nothing story related. So hand up. It's actually really cool because not only that, but later on in the game, you basically get this giant list of modifiers. So then everything you can do in the game, you can then modify to like meet different requirements. And there's one of those modifications, for instance, that just add abilities to bosses. They just completely change the boss fights. So it's super, super long-term replayability. I keep getting asked that. What's the replayability like? It's huge, especially if you enjoy the main loop.
Yeah.
That's something I wanted to ask about. Like, save Hades, of course, which has to be in the game because it's, that's the name of the game. But the boss fights, are they pretty varied? Like level 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Do you get lots of different bosses, or do you find yourself getting like the same boss every time?
There is the same boss every time. That's what JP was saying.
Well,
okay.
That's not really a spoiler.
I guess
then they
this
get
is a
variants.
spoiler because it's already on screen. And Zeke just asked the question. I don't think he'll be too upset. See how this boss is Lernadian Bone Hydra? Here, Zeke? That's usually just Bone Hydra. This is like a variation of the boss, which completely changed the mechanic. I cheesed the fuck out of this boss by doing exactly what I'm doing right here, which is stand out of range and just press my special on shield because he has like, he's connected to the lava. But then these guys started doing different things where they drop those little things on the ground, and if you don't kill them fast enough, they spawn mobs off of them. And so it's in your best interest to kill those things. And this was the first time I had ever seen this. It was all completely new, like brand new mechanics across the board that I had to learn for this boss.
The thing that kind of like, that really stood out to me at the start and really stands out now is this, like, as far as roguelike goes, these rooms are huge.
Yeah.
Like the span of them. Like
they vary.
This seems like a raid boss.
They vary. Like sometimes you get tiny rooms and they put a big boss or a big mob in there, and you're just like, fuck, like I don't have any room to move. And if you're using a weapon that, you're a ranged weapon like a bow or something like that, and you're in those tiny rooms, it can be really scary. Unless maybe you're using like the shotgun version of that build. So yeah, it's crazy. I also
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm curious for Ko. Maybe it's just because the style of how I play. My eyes hurt like a motherfucker after playing this game because I don't blink. I don't know if that's just how I play or what. But after like 4 hours yesterday, I was just like, I need to step away for a second, guys. I haven't blinked in about 70 minutes. So,
There's a lot going on in this game, and it's really, really fast. And especially if you play it for a long period of time, like you're constantly just staring at the screen, trying to, not die, essentially. So
yeah, okay,
be rough.
Yeah. What are we gonna ask, Zeke?
As far as the discoverables go, like secrets and how like this room that you enter in, it's not like a battle room per se, or are there rooms that aren't battle rooms that you're wondering how they work? Like, for example, going into I'm gonna use Isaac again, but going into the room with the spikes in the middle of the floor, you're like, what the fuck is this all about? There's no enemies in here and there's spikes in the middle of the floor. But then you discover like, it's you run over them and you take damage, it gives you stuff. Is there stuff like that?
That's a question for Ko.
There's a huge amount of lore, but there's not too many puzzles.
Okay.
There's not a lot of head scratchers, but there's a hugely fleshed out world. Not only do you have like a big compendium that gets updated as you talk to the different characters, but you can also give them gifts, which then flesh out your relationship with them. And that all triggers different dialogue and all sorts of other things. Not to spoil it, but in some cases, just going into your compendium and looking up things can change what happens in the world and how it interacts with you. So always check your compendium whenever you see things pop up. It's some very cool stuff. And like you actually go into your compendium and it'll say like, you need to talk to this person 5 more times to unlock the next thing and things of that nature. So there's a huge amount of lore, but from what I've seen, really not many like puzzle things. Every room kind of has a purpose, and the game makes it pretty clear like what those purposes are. From like for instance, if you enter a place that has like a fountain, you have to use a fountain before you go. You have to pick up the item before you leave the room that drops in that room, that kind of stuff.
Okay. How's the music? I heard it's good.
Fantastic.
What kind is it?
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
I'd say more like rock oriented than anything. Like there's guitar riffs
like killer bass lines.
Yeah, like right now, like for example, when Ko's fighting, the music is roaring, right? The second the combat's over, it just goes to like a single bass line, kind of just like they're ever present, and then that continues into the next room, and like the music starts back up. Or if someone starts talking, it'll like fade the music out and be a little bit more mellowed out. But then the fight starts and it like ramps right back up to 100. And so for me, like I play the game a lot louder than I do most games because the music 100% adds to it, and takes the whole like experience up a notch for sure. Like when those little motherfucking carts are chasing you and there's like a badass rock beat happening and you like dodge it at the last second perfectly. You're just like, this fucking pretty cool. It's pretty good.
This run that you're watching now was so ridiculous, man. Like,
Yeah.
it was just like, yeah, it was so ridiculous. All the upgrades we got on this thing.
Again, never using the cast. I've never seen that cast where it like spreads out.
Oh,
into five.
that's a special effect on that weapon.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Not even
Yeah,
a cast.
never seen it because I've only used the shield.
One other thing that sometimes these games suffer from, for me personally, do they throw everything at you at once information wise, or is it piecemeal? Like, here's what this does, use it for a little bit. Here's what this does,
Very
use it for a little bit.
piecemeal.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's got a
Not
good
only
evolution to
piecemeal,
it.
but it's really cool.
That's how
because
I learned best.
Hey, me too. I'm the same way. There's a little intro area, and there's like this little guy named Skelly. You gotta get to meet, and he every time you talk to him, every time you die and come back, he gives you like one of those like tips you really need to know about the game. And after you've done a few runs, like you have a really good idea of exactly how you should play the game. It's very well done.
It's phenomenal in the
Fun
sense.
fact, by the way,
Go ahead.
the guy that voices the Skelly is the guy that voices the main character.
Yeah. Someone was saying it's the head of the music for the game. Does the voices?
Yeah, I did the music, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of the devs do the voices, and it's kind of crazy how well they do it.
It is. Yeah. The No Clip actually has a documentary about all of that, which is very good as well. I've watched like 1 or 2 episodes on it. What was I going to say? I forgot now. I'm trying to trace my thoughts back. Zeke, you got any more
User
questions?
And Cord.
You're badass. How does it feed you? Like, it feeds you piecemeal, like as far as mechanics go?
Oh, yes, thank you. You jogged my memory. One of my favorite parts of the game, which really speaks to the fact that it like, I don't want to say every game should be an early access title, but it is definitely one of the benefits of early access and just massive QA in that sense, is there was a particular room where I walked up to the edge of, like, there's an NPC on the other side of this like lava river. And I was like, I wonder how I get over there. And then the main character, not a second after that, goes, I should probably dash over there. And I was just like, what? Are they listening to me? What the fuck? Like, how did they know? Like, sure enough, I just dashed over. And it was probably because dumbasses like me stood there in QA and no one knew that you can just inherently like dash over. And like Code talked about Skelly, there's multiple times where I've been like, I wonder how I do X. And then Skelly will be like, you should probably use some of the other weapons, huh? And then just kind of like stops talking. And I'm like, oh, okay. So like that type of stuff makes me really, it makes me excited for like titles that do go into early access because they can catch that shit so much more often, and more often than not do. And you can really see it shine in a game like this because they took, from what I can tell, like full utilization of that process and really.
Oh, dude, going from where it started to
awesome.
where it is.
Yeah.
I played this game into the ground when it came out, like early access. Like I basically went as far as I could, and it really is like 2 different games. It's like a 1 versus a 2. Very similar to kind of like how Dead Cells played out. Dead Cells is another good example of early access where they just like really made the game great based on feedback from people.
Yeah.
So yeah, they just knocked it out of the park, man. It really is a great finishing product.
Yeah, it's a hell of a thing for sure. Yeah, Zeke, I know you're a fan of like RNG and putting in different things in a game. Gambling. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. There are ways in this game that, like, if you want to play that way, you can make the game a giant gamble fest in terms of, trading one thing for another that is not necessarily, if someone who is not interested in that never has to interact with it. And I think I've spoken about that enough without like giving away the full mechanic. But yeah, like for me, I'm always like, let's fucking gamble. Let's see what's going on. Let's go check this room out. And then I'll walk in.
Oh, yeah.
And like one of the gambles that actually I'll be continuing today, and I'm only saying this because it's going to be a shit show. It was like, I think it's gain 140% damage on all back attacks or something. But for the next 5 rooms, your life is 4. And so for the next 5 rooms, my life is 4. Co has, for example, 150 max right now.
You normally get hit for 10 to 20 plus.
Yeah.
So that's basically one shot. Yeah.
So
Oh, I'm taking that. I'm taking that every time.
So we're gonna see what happens. I'm probably gonna fucking die.
It adds intensity, man, dude. I'm Isaac. I'm a YOLO pill taker. Like I don't care. Like anytime I pick up a pill, like all the speedrunners like you don't take pills in that game unless you have like the identifier. I'm like fuck that. Give me all the drugs. I want to see what they do.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Sorry, I got a random text there. Yeah, I'm always taking those gambles, and they do it so well. There's just different things where it's like, oh man, if I go do this, then I'll probably get a little bit more money, and then I can come back and buy that thing, and then maybe I'll get something good, and if I get that, then I'll be really set up for like this next upcoming fight. Then you get to the fight, and the fight's completely different. And you're like, well, I guess let's see how this goes. And so like all that stuff changing every single run is really good. By the way, what weapon is this? Because I'm now interested, having played only shield once again.
This is a weapon you unlock later in the game.
Okay, gotcha. I have not seen this yet then.
Those circle bombs or those circle bomb, whatever things that you're that's you dropping those, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Are they self-damaging?
That's the thing. This is where the game gets so cool. So there are they can self-damage you. They can't self-damage you. They can buff you up. They're normally one, but I have a special power-up that changes them. So like they could be, they could not be. Like it's fully dependent on what you're doing, like and how you decide to spec your character. Yeah.
That's a perfect answer. That's what I wanted
in
to
this
hear.
Specific case, there's one bomb which I've then split into 5, and they do not damage me. Yeah.
Awesome.
Alternatively,
apparently I own this game.
Oh, you might have.
I just haven't installed
Probably
it.
got
I might have bought it during the early access or something, but I looked it up on Steam and it was like, it's in your library, homie. And I was like, oh, well, shit, okay.
Well, it came out at they announced it and it was available to play at the game show awards in 2018. And so that was like the big deal, where it's like, oh, it's the new Supergiant game available now in the Epic Game Store, blah, blah, blah. But there's a funny thing in the No Clip documentary. It starts off, and if you remember, you probably don't. Back at that show, the Epic Game Store went live with the announcement like 30 minutes before they actually announced the game. And you get to watch the developers in real time be like, well, fuck, we're live on Epic, but like, we're not announcing for another 30 minutes. Like, what? No one's downloading the game. No one even knows what the fuck this is. Like, what's going on? And they're all reacting to this in real time as it's a really cool thing to watch. And that's the No Clip documentary. If you're at all interested, I'm going to cut away from this because this is a little boss spoilery, but yeah, that stuff's really cool. And Hades is a really good game. So I would say play it if you haven't.
Definitely recommend it.
Yeah, it's available on.
Get it for like $20.
Yeah, it's available PC,
Epic and Steam.
Epic and Steam, as well as Switch. And I've heard the Switch port is decent. It has FPS drops, but that's the trade-in for playing a game on the go. And I hear the controls are fine. Do you play controller or keyboard and mouse? Co, where are you at with it?
Controller.
Okay. Have you played keyboard and mouse?
Controller, and it works great. There's definitely a few abilities that don't really work great with the controller. Specifically, there are special types of abilities that are lobbing. So like, and the controller like if you're doing a bow build or a gun build and you're using like the bullets or the arrows, like the auto aim's really good. So if you're like running in a general direction of an enemy, it'll just lock onto it. That's super great, which is one of the reasons I really like it. But if you're using any kind of lob ability, it's super strange because the second you start holding down the lob button, you're no longer controlling your character, you're moving the thing around. So it's like if you don't plant your feet, so it's much easier to use mouse and keyboard if you're doing that kind of stuff. Like much easier. But the auto aim for the other stuff is phenomenal. So I just kind of stay mostly away from the lob stuff. And some people have said that they can get the lob stuff fine on the controller, but I was not one of them. The controller's great. I love controller. For the melee weapons and everything, it's 10 of 10.
Yeah. My only issue that I've had with controller is just an Elite, that sounds weird, is an Xbox Elite controller issue where since I have this high nub and the way that you aim the shield is by doing that or whatever, sometimes I'll flick it, and because the stick is so heavy, it bounces back.
Snap back.
And the shield will just launch behind me, and I'm like, fuck. So that'll happen every once in a while. Yeah.
Why I sold my Elite, man.
It really is the only issue
I
that I
even
have with
tried
the
to
Elite.
I tried to screw it in and make it tighter and stuff. I didn't want to fuck around with dead zones. Like make the dead zone, but it's like nah, I don't care. I'll just sell it. The Xbox One doesn't do that, or the Xbox One regular controller doesn't do that.
Yeah, I think it's just because the sticks are heavier.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like proper metal as opposed to whatever the normal controllers use. So, yeah. Anyways, that's Hades. Are you done with it, Co? You said you were. You said you were doing 6 runs or whatever. Are you going to go for the quote true ending that I've been constantly spoiled about?
I think I got the true ending. I don't know when the content ends. That's the
Okay.
thing. Like it just kind of keeps going. I got to the credits.
Okay.
So I got that. And you know, like a huge event in the game happened. But there's clearly a lot more for me to do. Like I feel like in some ways, even though I've seen the credits, that I've barely played it. I know tomorrow I'm going back to Witcher 3, and then Friday is Mafia Remake. So I'm gonna be checking out all that stuff. But for the cozy stream and stuff, it may be Hades for a little bit. To be honest, it was kind of a toss up between Hades and PoE. And PoE is always fun, but it's it's PoE. So it's one of those things where I know I'll be back later, and Hades is here now, and I'm really, really enjoying it. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Not sure yet.
Yeah. 5 minutes on PoE. That's exactly where I'm at. I streamed PoE for 2 days, and like the league honestly launched with a lot of glaring issues with Heist, and their fix for it last night was to basically, did you see any of the patch notes for what they changed?
I didn't see any of them. No.
So with Heist, you like go, for those that haven't played, you go into a special map, and originally when you would kill mobs, it would raise this alarm meter. And as you progress through, that alarm meter would get bigger and bigger. And if you didn't get to the end and loot the item, then you couldn't get the item, and you were forced to leave. So now they've done away with killing mobs raises the meter, and it's kind of bad because it's just free loot. You literally just walk in and like click a chest. You still got to kill the mobs, but it's like click a chest, get the loot, click a chest, get it. It's free loot. They're probably going to change it. Cause it's a little,
so it's just an extra dungeon.
It's a free map of loot.
No real any flavor.
Yeah. So they're going to have to change it a little bit. I don't know if that mechanic, the whole heist mechanic, like works in PoE. It seems like such a departure from what that game is, that they're going to struggle to balance with it. I hope that they find a way to balance it, but yeah, there's very little difficulty.
Just a temporary fix, that thing. Well, I mean,
it is temp. Yeah. So we'll see.
No, it's not free real estate.
It is and it isn't.
Sorry.
Like, yeah, you still have to kill the mobs, right? But like the mobs aren't hard. So there's very little consequences for that stuff. But I'm still playing it offline. I've put about, I think 35 or 40 hours into League. And I'm enjoying it, but that's because it's a PoE launch league, and I've always enjoyed PoE. But yeah, Hades is definitely my like game that I stream, and having a lot of fun with it as well. So,
just one last thing on Hades for me.
Sure.
Someone said, Zenith in my chat said Hades seems like an offline game for Zeke. There's no time to interact with chat while you're playing it. Now, I know during the rooms and stuff, there's high action and stuff, but like in between rooms, there's no like timer forcing you to move fast.
You get a huge break.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Later on, you can like add timers for difficulty and stuff, but no, absolutely not. Like anytime you finish a room, you can just. I left my game on overnight because I couldn't save it for some reason, so I just was like sitting at the end of a room literally all night, and just came on the next day and unpaused it and kept playing.
Yeah, you can also, depending on the rooms, certain rooms won't allow you to quit, but if you start like a challenge room, you can just quit out, and then when you boot the game back up, you'll be able to load back in. But Zeke, if anything, for my chat, I find it very interactable, because we'll get to like a choice, and chat will just be, I'll be like, chat, what do you guys think? And they'll be like 1 1 1 2 2 2 3. Go with choice 3, and then that'll sync with like. So I get a lot of interactive chat options.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't have
almost
Twitch
every
integration.
Single skill I get, I ping chat on.
Yeah,
pretty much. Unless it's like it's 3 things that I absolutely know, or like I have an idea for the build already, which is rare.
Yeah.
Then almost every single one. In fact, and Barry could probably get it to you. Barry has a thing now where it immediately tracks like how many 111s, 222s, 223s, so it like percentages it. It's really handy. But yeah, it's chat helps with most builds if you want them to. actually, Zeke, or you were talking about like getting things down at the beginning. You can tell chat what kind of character you want and like what kind of synergies, and they will help you kind of like pick things. And there's some really good people that will like explain like take this one because and this one goes with that skill and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I've seen it
can
in
be very
chat
helpful.
a couple of times. People talking about a chaos build. Does that sound like me?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I'm going to answer yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
It's one of those things that I talked about that you would enjoy.
I assume it
Okay.
means taking many chaos portals, and yes, I think you'd really enjoy that. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's the best way to
Oh, I
gamble.
mean, a doorway to know where you're going? Hell yeah, I'm in.
Play the game.
Yeah, I will. No, I'm thinking about. I
Yeah.
think I might check it out on Thursday just to give a little break in between the Oddworld games because
It
they're
also
great.
Carl, I'm not sure if you experienced this. At least for the first 2 or 3 days, I think I've only streamed it 3. Time evaporated with it. I just like lost. It's one of those games where I started the stream and it's like, holy shit, it's been 6 hours and I haven't eaten. Like I gotta go, guys. I gotta order some food. Like I'm dying here. It just time evaporates 100%. I also was like, all right,
really
guys,
does.
I'm gonna do this room and then we'll stop. And then like a full run later, it's like, all right, guys, I'm gonna go and end the stream here. Like 45 minutes later. So it does that nonstop. Zeke. Just be careful. It's a time, a portal, as we like to call them. Let's talk about Abe's Odyssey. Your first experience
yeah.
with the game, the 1997 release. I think wasn't this also like a PlayStation 1 launch title back in the day?
I don't know if it was launch title, but people said I played this on PS1 like constantly while I was playing it.
Yeah. Talk about it. How was it? How'd you like your time with Abe?
Okay. I did not know what kind of game this was. I heard about it growing up and stuff, but it seemed like too cutesy to be like something that I would really enjoy. Also, like, cause I didn't really, yeah, I'm doing other stuff. I never really like got into like Ratchet and Clank or like some of those like cuter Crash Bandicoot. Like that seemed like This game really fucking surprised me. I didn't know how much I would enjoy to enjoy the atmosphere, to enjoy the way they presented the story, how like deceptively dark it is. Like the basic story is like you're trying to save people and creatures from being mashed up into food. And your people are slaves to this company that does that.
It's pretty grim. Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, shit. I had no idea that this was about that. But what really surprised me even more and made me super enjoy the game was the first time I saved like I say it wrong, I'm sure. I say Mudokan, but it's Mudokons or something like that.
Oh, I think
Your
I've always
people.
said Mudokons as well. Huh.
Yeah. Anyway, well, the first time you save one, and it gives you that scoreboard in the back, you're like, there's 99 of these? Because the one I saved, like that I found a puzzle, it was pretty tough to figure out how to move the guy and move yourself, tell him to come, make him wait. Like that shit. And it was only one guy, and I died like 10 times. Like the first time I found a difficult one, I was like, there's tons of these? Oh. And people in chat, first day playing, were like, I play this kid, I never finished it. I was like, why are all these people saying they never finish it? Because it's fucking hard. Like, it's a difficult game. There's reasons why it's difficult. There's some of those, like, minor reasons are because of the age of the game and how the controls work. I played it with a controller. I did not play with keyboard mouse. The run, your character's run cycle is very ice physics. There's a slidey. It's not super responsive and precise. That can get a little frustrating. It takes some time to getting used to. Also, there's input lag. And I know people are like, blame it on the controller. It's input lag. No. I've played a lot of fucking video games in my life. I can tell when a game has a little bit of input lag due to age or whatever factors. This does have a little bit of input lag. I fell down a lot of pits because I didn't press the A button soon enough to jump. You got to kind of preempt it. You got to like press it just slightly before you need the jump. So that happened throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
Just wanted to get all those weird like little foible, like not foibles, little like things that I didn't like about it out of the way, because this game is absolutely, for me, absolutely like A rank, like A rate. Like if you're grading it in school, like I fucking loved it. The sound design is perfect. The way they go about what is it called, chat? The something speak.
Oh, the
So,
spell
like,
chanting thing?
It's actually like it has its own name. Anyway, that is ingenious. It's called games. It's just called Game Speak, where they talk to each other when you can. Spoiler alert. When you. That's another thing I wanted to mention. They don't hold your hand as far as telling you, like, they give you tutorials on shit way after you need them. So it encourages like a second playthrough or whatever. But that's why the first level, the very first level, took me, I think, an entire stream plus some, because there's so many mechanics that you have to fucking figure out on your own. I did get the manual. Like I got a PDF of the actual like color manual from the CD-ROM PS1 game, and it was cool to like look at, and you get some of the shit. But the tutorials like on the wall there, or like you press your paw onto a information stone or whatever, and it says like, "Hey, did you know you can control those guys?" You're like, "Fuck!" That's when they tell you like 4 fucking levels after you need that shit to get 100%. And yes, I did get 100%. I got the good ending. I got not another spoiler alert. It says 99. There's 103, I think, because the scoreboard will read 0, and then there's 3 more people saving, and it'll go to -3.
Huh.
Yeah, it's funny. But figuring that shit out, taking hours figuring out you can control those guys, and I didn't know you can control them until like way later. I just thought you could explode them, until necessity was like, there is no other way to get that, to save that Mudokan, other than something I don't know about. So it forced you to like fuck around with stuff, try new like ideas and that kind of shit. And then, man, the game really opens up for you once you figure out, oh, shit's hidden behind everything. Okay. It's great. Well, it's a fantastic game. I could not recommend it enough. I think, and people were saying this game, the new and tasty is the remake of this or remaster. I'm not sure.
Oh, maybe. I know the game's been released a bunch of different times. I also know there's not a shit ton. I think there's a lot of sequels or a lot of like subsequent games.
I have 4 of the games. I have, 1 second. I have Abe's Odyssey. I have Abe's Exodus, Stranger's Wrath, and Munch's Odyssey.
Okay.
Those are the 4 games that I own right now.
Yeah. That's a lot.
And the whole reason why I'm playing this, there well 2 reasons. One, there's a new game coming out sometime soon. A new Oddworld, and my mod Scott was like, he's been like pushing me to play this, and I hate it when like I always want to be obstinate. It's like, you want me to play it, then I'm not going to. You know, I'm petulant like that. But man, I'm glad I picked it up because it's fucking fantastic. It's $2.99 on Steam right now, and it's absolutely worth it if you've never played it before. And people are saying you don't need to play the remake. Like the remake, or the remaster, or whatever it is. It doesn't do enough good stuff that in fact, some people say it is not even as good as the original. So I would suggest picking this one up, and it's a good game for any level of gamer. I would say it's fucking hard though. I will say that.
Yeah.
It's fucking hard.
Hard in the sense that just the puzzles are a little bit abstract, or
yeah, sometimes the puzzles are abstract. You got to sit there and stare at it a little bit, but half the fun of it is it's fucking up. And they have noob traps, which I absolutely love and hate, where you're like, okay, there's a lever in the middle of the room and it says stand here, and you pull the lever and just go and you fucking die. They're like, you get a good laugh out of it. There's a lot of those moments.
Yeah.
Where it's like, that was clever. You killed me. And you knew that it was going to kill most people who've never played it. But it's fucking fun. You don't mind it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. You gonna play the other one soon, or I know you're jumping into Hades. You said Thursday, but more Odyssey, more of Abe.
I might give a break this tomorrow. I think I've got a sponsor thing I'm doing at the beginning, and then I might jump into Hades for the rest of the day, and then Friday, it's seeming like Exodus. I loved it so much. I want to jump into the next game.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's talk a little bit about, I hope I don't, Vaporum. Vaporum.
Lockdown.
Yeah. How's this?
Yes. This game is the prequel to Vaporum, which is essentially like a Legends of Grimrock style old school RPG. It is very puzzle heavy. I was not expecting that. This game is hugely puzzle heavy. A lot of like world manipulation stuff, figuring out the right way to do things, levers and switch puzzles, things of that nature. It also has a lot of combat, a pretty good amount of character customization in terms of like dual wielding rifles, energy weapons, like different things for your suit. There's like a spell casting and gadget system. And it was gameplay wise, it was a very good time, and I actually played it all the way to the end. Balance wise, it was okay. The way that I picked was definitely not the best. As I got to the end, I found out. But the story and the dialogue and stuff was not super great. It basically is super BioShock influenced, like I'd say 80 to 90%. And then it's written in a really casual style. So it's really weird when you're walking around this steampunk universe and literally one of the dialogues, someone's like, "Oh, snap." And this other guy's like, "Yeah, that guy's a douche." Like it kind of sounds like a frat bro wrote it in some ways. It's a little strange. However, there is some voice acting, and overall, it was enjoyable. But this is definitely one of those games that I feel like the gameplay is what really kind of shined.
That sounds like the Steve Buscemi meme where he's like, "Hello, fellow youths," or whatever when he's in
high except school. He's like, "Hello, fellow fantasy, theme punk kind of guys." Like it's just like it's weird. It's like people that wouldn't normally do this kind of genre wrote it. It's a little strange. But I will say again, I do want to stress this. The gameplay is solid. Like it very much felt like Legends of Grimrock a lot of the time. It was enjoyable. There's like a pause time system if you want to use that. I didn't, and I still had a lot of fun. I played on the harder difficulty, and I definitely died a lot. But I also kind of played a very squishy type of character, kind of a spellcaster. And that definitely, mobs were hitting me for like 60% of my life most of the time.
Huh. I like that map. Whatever the map that they just showed. Very well done map. Yeah. How long did it take you to complete?
I want to say like 4 or 5 nights, about 3 hours ish a night.
Yeah. Not too bad.
And definitely there was a lot of time. Like there were some definite head scratchers for puzzles. There were a few puzzles that were I was stuck on 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah. Cool.
Now that's Lockdown that you were talking about.
Yes, that was the prequel to Vaporum Lockdown. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just looking real quick to see if there was anything else that I don't. It's been mostly Hades for me this past week. That Night City Wire thing.
I'm back in Witcher 3. It's great. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I was thinking. I mean, I guess we could talk about Witcher 3, but we also got some Indie Sunday stuff to go to. I know.
Yeah, we know you saw Radiohead for the 6th time. Great. You want to tell us about the concert or something? Like, did they play their new songs? Wow.
Oh boy. We've talked about I wouldn't say a decent amount, but it's definitely come up. Crusader Kings 3. Zeke, you did a sponsored stream for that. I think me and Co have both talked about it. How was your experience with Crusader Kings? Was it as absurd as we thought it was going to be for you?
Not as such.
Okay.
It wasn't as absurd. There was a lot of funny moments, but I will say, God, Takarilla, and anybody else, any other deity who's listening, bless Bike Man for jumping on voice with me and helping me through that tutorial or through the figuring out how the game works.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of stuff, and it's definitely one of those games that throws a lot at you right at the beginning. It's not like, hey, let's jump in, and then stuff will happen, and we'll figure it out as you go. No, it's like, all right, sit down. We're gonna talk for an hour, and then you can play the game.
Right.
Okay. So we did that, went through all that stuff, but if you can find your way through it, it's tough for me because I have short attention span, ADHD, whatever. It's tough for me to sit down, but Bike Man made it very much explained it like Forrest Gump. Like, he has a way of explaining things so I can understand them. And once I got going with it after the first hour or whatever tutorial, I started to understand and see the draw of it, because it's pretty, it's obviously not limitless, but it seems limitless as to what you can do, how you want to rule, what kind of person you want to be, what kind of ruler you want to be, specializing in diplomacy or military or skullduggery or anything like that. Like, any sort of like benevolent or dictator that you want to be, you can do any of those things, and it's pretty great. I mean, given the constraints of the time period, like, you can't like build laser guns or anything like that, but like
Yeah.
all that other shit, like anything within the feudal era is absolutely available to you, and you can be morally reprehensible or you can be like a paladin. It's fucking great. That part of it is great, and the special events are kind of what I live for in those kind of games. Like, the time spent building or mundane, like the mundanity, I'm like, fast forward, an event. Okay, what's going on? Oh, this guy has gave my daughter an STD or something like that. You're like, well, we're gonna kill him, obviously. Like, he dishonored my little girl, and we're gonna take his head off, right? Okay, you tried to take his head off. Oh, you didn't know he was a child of the Baron. Like, well, we got to kill the Baron now. I mean, there's no other choice. We got to go attack the Baron and take his lands because his son, blah, blah, blah. And you can do all of that shit. And it's that part about it is great. I love the pop-up events that happen.
Yeah.
Because I fast forward through all the rest of the shit, like all the building up your buildings and empires and like that kind of shit. I kind of avoid all the building aspects. I just want to get to like the wars and the randomness of it.
Yeah, that was honestly kind of my interest when I dabbled in the CK3 as well.
There you catch me putting myself on top of the guy.
Oh, yeah. It'll happen. I definitely see why people, I don't know if it's the same in y'all's chat, but I have a lot of viewers that just like absolutely love the shit out of this game and will like fight someone if they say that it's bad. They're just like diehard CK3 fans.
I didn't ask Bike Man to come.
Oh, he just showed up.
He saw no. He saw that I was playing it. I said, I'll be playing that tomorrow. DM me not more than like 5 or 10 minutes afterwards, like, hey man, the game's kind of daunting. Do you want some help? And I was like, yes. And he goes, good. I love this game. I know a lot about it. I'll be in your voice tomorrow if you want. I was like, please be there. and it like, yeah, I could sense that like some people just fucking love this game.
Yeah. I think so as well. Let's jump to some Indie Sunday. The most recent one, because I saw, at least in chat, one of the games piqued my interest. Because I have not had a chance to check it out yet. Where the hell is the VOD? There it is. We'll get to it. We'll just kind of go along the games here. You started with a game called My Exercise.
Yep.
What? Okay.
My exercise.
Is that a horror game?
Yeah. What?
No, it is not. No, my exercise is by the same developers who did the short games Plug and Play and Kids. They're surreal. They're abstract, absurd. It's like theater of the absurd, or it's just weird game as art stuff. Like, there's not really much to explain. It's just like you're kind of the only control is spacebar. That's the only thing you use as the spacebar.
Okay.
And you do sit-ups. You can hold the spacebar down. Eventually, when you hold the spacebar down long enough, after you do a couple of sets, you push your face far into the dog, and the dog kind of melts, and then you are looking through the dog's eyes. And guess what you see? You see part of that, the girl in the yellow shirt, and the other dog that's staring at you. And then you see a gorilla with a ribbon in the background. Don't ask why. You're missing the point if you ask why. The point is to have that in your mind at all times. Like, why is this happening? What the fuck is going on? Yep. Then you're playing it right. You're doing right. Don't worry. It's just weird. And it's like, if you don't know what Plug and Play is, or Kids, they're just short, weird, like Bill Plimpton cartoons as games. And for no other reason than to maybe make you go, what the fuck? Maybe giggle a little bit. But they're really simple, and I like them a lot. This game was probably my least favorite of them because it's super repetitive. I did 200 sit-ups 4 times. So, because I just wanted to see what would happen. And little things do happen. Little things do change every time you unlock a new character. But I don't think there's much more to talk about. We can move on.
Okay.
Yep.
Microsoft will be buying this soon. Next game. What's the name of this one?
This one is, oh my God, Tomato Way 3. You can see it. It's in the upper left corner when I do
Yeah.
Tomato Way 3. Apparently there's 3 of these games. It's not just a clever title. There are 3 of them. It starts off. Oh, well, hold on. Let me go back.
Wait, why is it a clever title?
No, I said it's not just a clever title. Tomato Way 3. There's 2 before this.
Yeah, but what's clever about that?
There's nothing clever about it. That's what I'm saying. It's like naming it Tomato Way 3 when there's not 1 and 2.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, that's the joke. First of all, let me go back and say my exercise is on Steam right now. It's $2.99. Developed by New Deer, Tushiwada Playables, and published by Playables and New Deer. That's my exercise. Tomato Way 3 is
What the fuck?
Let me read the blurb. Let me read the Steam blurb.
Do
Tomato
you
Way
get
3.
your games by sorting by the drugs category on
Tomato-
Steam? Like what?
This is the description in the Steam. Tomato Way is the only way. That's it. That's all they have in Steam. It is developed and published by, it seems like one person, Vladislav Castillo Gonzalez. And it is mostly in Ukrainian, the language, and sometimes it's in Japanese. It's all subtitled, though, in English.
Great.
Translated as best they could, I'm guessing. It's $14.99 on Steam, and it is, like, starting off, it was fucking weird and a trip, but you could continue. I stopped playing it because I didn't know how to kill this tree thing. I poured bullets into him. I sliced him up, blah, blah, and he's a one-hit. Like, if you get hit by him, he's a one-hit kill. Don't buy this game. It is a piece of shit. If I was into it at the start because it had some weird graphics, kind of like a surrealist like environment setting. The FOV is really garbage and stuff. But once you get to this part, it's a piece of total shit. And it's in darkness. There's just too many things to say that's bad about it. Let's move on. You play as a tomato with a fork. That's your main weapon. And you can pick up other guns. like shotguns and miniguns and shit like that. But don't try them on that tree because it does absolutely nothing to it.
All right. Also, if you're listening to the podcast version of this show, you are really missing out on what we're watching here, for sure.
Joe is nodding right now.
All right, here's a game that I was very excited to see that one of us played.
Yes.
BPM. Let's talk about it. Is
BPM
it good?
Yeah.
bullets per minute. Okay. First things first, let me tell you, this game has a very stylized, artistic look to it. You can turn that down. Like there's a, like if you look at like regular gameplay of it, it's super glowy and really like intense. I dialed it down to about 50% of that, and that's what you're seeing right now.
Oh, what's that meter called? And the options. What are they? Intensity meter. I'm just curious what they were.
Something like that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You'll be.
All right.
Yeah. This game started off. I was like, for 45 minutes, I was super frustrated, and it was just kept pissing me off. The game is this. It's a rhythm game. You shoot on the rhythm. Bad part about it is, unlike other Necrodancer or the games of that like it doesn't just give you a bonus for playing on the rhythm. You can't shoot off rhythm. That's something that really frustrated me. So if you're off rhythm, your gun will go click, click, click. Fuck, shit, fuck.
Okay.
Ways you can rectify that. The certain guns like the handgun, the revolver, you can do on the quarter note or the eighth note. Meaning you can go da 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 da, shoot, 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 shoot. Or if you're good enough with rhythm, you can go shoot, 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 reload, reload, shoot, 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 shoot. Like that. Okay. You can see the big arrows coming in. Those are quarter notes. The eighth notes are the little ones in between. So if you're good enough, you can shoot on any one of those.
Ah.
The bad thing I will say that I absolutely hate and I really, really, really don't like, or really wish they'd change, is the starting character has such a short fucking range. Yes, bullets have range. You'll see me shooting at things, and it'll say a little yellow pop, out of range. And it's so fucking frustrating because you got to get up. It's not a shotgun. That would I would understand. This is a revolver, right? You think that there wouldn't be like that short of a range on it? That was super frustrating. So for 45 minutes of this game, I was like, out of range? These flying bats are fucking me from across the map, and I can't shoot them until I'm up in their face and they blast me with their fucking acid or whatever they're shooting at me.
Mm-hmm.
However, once you get a different weapon, this is a roguelite, whatever. It procedurally generated maps. When you die, you come back, and it's a completely different map. Once you get a better weapon, the game gets so much more fun. Like, the starting weapon is like, it feels like they don't want you to play your fucking game. Like, it's so bad to start with. But then you get a good weapon, and you're like, oh, okay. And you're just jumping like, pew, 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 on the beat, on the beat, on the beat. Reload, reload, pow, pow, reload, pow. Gotcha, motherfucker, gotcha. Like, and he's like, it
Can somebody gift that,
a lot
please?
more fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's gift that up.
Yeah, but it becomes a lot more. This is it. The stapler, the laser stapler is what we dubbed it. This gun. This is when the game like, oh, now we're talking.
Does that
Now
fit
we're
into
having fun.
like that looks very much not the same theme as the rest of the game? Am I often saying that, or is that on purpose? Or is there no theme to the game?
No, there's a theme to the game. You play as angels, I believe. Like, you are an angel, and you can get like there's 4. I saw as far as I know, there's 4 unlockable characters. There might be more.
Yeah.
But I got 2. I got this main starting character and 1 more unlocked, and they all have different starting weapons, abilities, health. stuff like that. The first guy I unlocked. I'm sorry to say Isaac again, but you know how soul hearts are different than regular hearts? He starts off with like soul hearts, so shield rather than health. So health potions do nothing for him, but shields are his whole thing. So you're looking for shield rather than health up, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's definitely elements of that. Definitely shit you unlock. The map system is a lot like any other roguelike you play, you can see up in the upper left corner the mini map up there. Treasure rooms, blacksmith rooms, libraries, stuff like that. Not just enemy rooms. I got fucked up by the first boss. Like the first 4 or 5 times I faced him, like it wasn't even close. Because there's like boss mechanics that you have to learn. Like he'll like the boss is like a Reaper kind of style character, and he goes like, ha! And he's the whole left half or right half of the room lights up, and you can't stand there. So you have to like jump in rhythm from side to side while you're shooting him. Then he'll light up the floor, and you gotta jump back, and it becomes a lot of fun. So
like
if you can push through the frustration of the first little bit of playing it, it really opens up after that.
Well, man. Okay, here's my big question.
The music is fantastic. Yeah, it's rock metal. It's really good. However, you might get sick of the first song because that plays on the entire first floor, and you're gonna die quite a bit. But once you get to the second floor, third floor, fourth floor, you're like, oh, the music does change. Good.
Yeah. Cool. What's your big question?
That was it.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, that's my big question too.
I forgot to mention the music. Yeah,
I mean, in a game like this, it's so important that you have good music. So you said it was kind of metal. Is it kind of like
metal, hard rock.
Metal and rock?
It's like crunchy guitars.
Okay,
good stuff. Okay. It's good stuff. Yeah.
Is there any variation on that?
Game.
Like, is there any like EDM or anything like that?
Not as far as I got, but
Okay.
I didn't get a clear on a floor, like or an entire level, because there's floor, boss, floor, boss, like basement 1, basement 2, or like, that's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't get too far, but I'm not sure as far as like, does the music change all that much? I'd imagine it's probably fast-paced rock throughout, just different styles and tunes of that.
Sure.
I like this comment from chat. It's Doom, the musical.
It is. It's very Doomish. It's very Doom-like. The music is.
Yeah.
Except it's constantly going, because Doom had a lot of like. I was listening to Doom soundtrack. I was like, man, I forgot the Doom OST has a lot of like ambient, just like background. This one is constantly like the rock tracks from Doom. I mean, obviously not as good as Mick Gordon. Mick Gordon is a god. Yada yada yada. I will pay homage, but
sure,
it's still good. It's good stuff.
Yeah. For what it's worth, Jericho also said this game's very good as well. So I've heard that from multiple people now. Cool. What was this game cost? Was it run 20?
Let's see. Bullets per minute. Let me just read the blurb. BPM is a rhythm action FPS roguelike where you must shoot, jump, and dodge to the beat of an epic rock soundtrack. Delve into a randomly generated dungeon where one missed note can lead to your death. Gain game-changing abilities and loot powerful weaponry to defeat your ancient enemy. Came out, released September 15th. Developed and published by AWE Awe Interactive. And it is $17.99 on sale from $19.99.
All right. What's up with the little like owl people here?
This is like the bank where you can, the coins you collect or your currency throughout the game, you can bank them, I'm guessing, for a later date. If you are lucky enough to have a bank on your floor, like randomly they're generated.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because, and someone just actually brought this up in chat too. It's kind of interesting that this game is out, and remember, we just saw at one of the gaming conventions a few months back how like Troy Baker is working on basically the same game where it's like a gothic style rhythm Doom-esque shooter.
Yep.
Like what was that one called? Whatever happened to that one?
I forgot.
That was still coming out?
I thought that
Not
was
this one,
BPM.
right?
I thought that was this one. Unless I'm
that
just
this one?
really getting them. Oh, that's Hellsinger, Metal Hellsinger. Okay.
Hellsinger.
I was wrong.
That game's still in production?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. Okay.
I would hope so. I definitely want to check it out. Or
Oh yeah, I was more saying it's not been out yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people in chat thought this was the same game. No, this is a different game. I don't think Hellsinger is a rogue light, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's more of a like you work through it and there's bosses and story and stuff like that.
I don't recall.
Could be wrong.
Next game, Zeke Sense, a cyberpunk story. Did they just okay?
Here's the thing.
Oh,
Well,
hello,
here's the thing.
ladies.
Yep. This has anime, big old anime titties wrapper, but it actually has kind of an interesting point and click story to it. Like right off the bat, I was like, "Oh, this game is gonna be like a gimmick, and you know, I'll play it. It's
Oh.
gonna be lots of boobs and butts and stuff like that." But
And I just love those articles in Playboy too. They're really great reading. It's why I get it.
hey, man, I've seen porno with a good story. I don't know about you. All right, Sense, a cyberpunk ghost story, a 2.5D horror game inspired by Clock Tower and Fatal Frame, mixing cyberpunk with traditional Cantonese folklore with careful attention to pacing, atmosphere, and storytelling. It is released August 25th of this year, developed by Suzaku and published by Top Hat Studios, Inc. It is $19.99 on Steam. Survival horror, point and click, whatever. It starts off with a lot of this stuff, but then it becomes like an investigative point and click story. You are, oh God, I can't remember. You go to this bar, you try to leave, and you end up, I don't know if it's like transported or teleported or something. It's kind of vague, but you end up in this building, this like tenant apartment building. And you discover this place is like just haunted by ghosts and evil and that kind of stuff. And you walk around and these ghosts either attack you or talk to you or tell you stuff. But it's pretty creepy, pretty mysterious. I was interested in seeing how it. Like, I'm still kind of intrigued in how it all plays out, because it started off like, oh, this is just gonna be like all fan service, like that kind of stuff. It does start off like that, but it gets a pretty interesting later on.
Huh.
I can't say if it's worth the price point because I only played it for 2 hours, and usually point and clicks take a while. And judging by the map that you get, there's like 10 floors, and I think I explored like 2 of them. So there's like 10 floors in this apartment building that I'm guessing you have to discover, and it plays out like a point and click. If you fast forward just a little bit in the video,
Sure.
So it's a cyberpunk ghost story
yeah,
with
a
boobs.
little bit further.
Ah.
There we go. Okay. Most of the fan service stuff like that I found like goes away, except for the main character. The main character is like Bayonetta. Like you look at her like the entire game, you're like, I see why they made the character model this way. And you can change your outfits, which in the menu is called cosplay. It's like, okay, sounds good. But this is most of the game where you're walking around doing point and click stuff. You find keys, you find ripped up photographs, you put them together, you can advance, so on and so forth. In that kind of vein, it's actually kind of interesting. There's another interesting element to it where there's collectible photographs, but a lot of times you don't know they're hidden. You saw me walking past stuff and it says interact. You'll walk past something and if you hit the A button at the right time without it saying interact, you'll take like a photograph, and those are the collectibles in the game. It doesn't prompt you as to where those are. And the photographs are like, you're looking at a closet with like a coat hanging there, like, oh, look at that coat. But then it's like one of those, like, if you look up, you'll see like a fucking like demon lady ghost like coming at you. It's like one of those, like, when you see it, you'll shit bricks kind of photo. You're like, oh, it's a photo of, oh my God.
Yeah. Makes sense.
One of those. But yeah, it was a fun game. I actually might come back to it at some point.
Let me ask you this. How much of this game do you think, from your point of view, is just including Cyberpunk in the name because it'll get hits on Steam because of the Cyberpunk craze.
I would not put that back. I bet it was called Sense, and then they're like, oh, let's add this to it.
Okay.
For sure. The term cyberpunk has been around a long time before cyberpunk.
Totally, 100% true.
But I
Based
think
on a
yes,
TTRPG.
definitely cashing in.
Yeah.
Like just judging by all the Strand like games that I've played, the Anime Standing and Man Stranding and like all of those like fucking knockout games, like yeah, they know what they're doing when they put cyberpunk in the title these days. Like now.
Yeah. True. Cool. And then I think you did some Among Us with the mods after that. Still enjoying Among Us? I haven't played since the last time our group played, whatever that last Tuesday, I guess.
Okay, Among Us for me is only like it's really super fun if A, you're the imposter, or B, you actually see someone commit a crime. For me personally.
Makes sense.
Because otherwise I'm just like, I don't know, I was doing tasks. Believe me or don't. Believe me or don't.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're an imposter, it's fun because you're lying. You're like, oh. But if you're actually not lying, you're like, yeah, I was just doing tasks. Yep, same thing again. I didn't see shit.
Yeah, it's been fun.
And then I'm dead.
Yeah, then you talk to your chat.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
and then you're dead. I didn't see shit, and then I got murdered.
It's been pretty interesting watching the meta of that on Twitch evolve over the past like month, honestly, with a bunch of the bigger streamers for sure. I don't really have anything to add.
I've been enjoying the memes. Like
memes are good.
The Among Us memes are good.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. I think we'll wrap the show up there and call it a dropped frames. Let's do some shout outs and then get out of here because I got to go play some not Shield Hades. It's probably just going to be Shield the entire time.
Shield is Shield is one of the best weapons, man. Oh my lord.
Yeah, a lot of people are just
you got the double hammer power, by the way.
No, dude, I'm not lying. When I've only done the shield, I haven't even unlocked the other weapons.
No. Well, I'm saying. By the way, little tip for you: always hammer.
Chat
always
spams that. You're talking about Daedalus. Yes. Yeah. I thought you were saying there's a weapon
dude.
called the hammer.
No. That power up is like one of the coolest in the game. I love that so much. That has made so many runs for me.
Yeah, it's really good. It's good. Cool. Let's do some shout outs. Zeke, you want to start us off?
Sure. I'll start us off. And then, of course, a burp just comes right up my throat. Excellent timing. My name is Ezekiel the Third. You can find me at or / Ezekiel_III on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. And Ezekiel the Third all spelled out on Instagram. That's where we started posting like just little 1-minute videos if you're ever on Instagram. I will be broadcasting tomorrow, starting with a sponsored stream of an indie game called Going Under. We're going to start off with that. And then after that, probably going to pick up Hades and give it a look. I got the push I needed today. Like my goof was like, you got to play it. I was like, I'm still on the fence. And then I got kicked off the fence today. So we'll check that out. And then Abe's Exodus, Oddworld Abe's Exodus will be starting on Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific. That's all I got. Thanks for watching.
Cool. Shout outs.
As always, big thank you to JP and Zeke. Always great being on the show every week. My name is Ko. Hi, if I've met you. Tomorrow morning, we're doing Witcher 3. Tomorrow afternoon, I'm off. And then tomorrow evening, we are starting up Hades. I'm off the Cozy stream tonight. Going to be hanging out with the family. And then on Friday, we're starting up Mafia, the Mafia remake. Going to be checking that out probably Friday and Saturday. Then back to Witcher 3, back to Hades. Maybe check out some BPM and whatever other games come our way. So we didn't get to talk about this much on the show today. We would be playing Baldur's Gate in the near future, but unfortunately got pushed back another week. So I'm sure they're going to be figuring that stuff out. But yeah, besides that, hope to see you on the channel. And as always, thank you guys for watching.
Sounds good. Thank you both for being on the show as always this week. I don't know what next week might be kind of a smaller episode. Maybe we'll set up another interview or something like that. We'll see. Might not have time to. I'm going to be
We
playing
can play a game.
Haley's. Yeah, we could. Yeah.
I'm always down for some golf, dude.
Oh yeah.
Could return to the links, as they say. We'll figure it out. We'll let you guys know when we do. I'll be checking out more Hades immediately after the show today, as well as tomorrow. Probably Saturday. I at least want to get a full run in, if not multiple, before we put the game away. And then I don't know. We'll see. I was kind of hoping on Baldur's Gate. I think the Star Wars Squadrons game comes out. I guess that's in like 2 weeks. I don't know. There's not much till kind of the beginning of the rush in October. So we'll figure something out, and then we'll stream that. And we'll be back next week with another Dropped Frames as well. Maybe with a guest, maybe playing games. I don't know. Follow the Drop Frame Twitter, and we'll keep you updated when we make our decision. That'll do it for this week's episode, though. Thank you so much for watching. We're out of here. Bye-bye.